So joining us now is a member of the Trump transition team, Republican Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. She's on the executive committee. Congresswoman, thanks very much for joining us.
Good to be with you, Wolf. Thanks.
So let's talk a little bit about General Flynn. He's going to be the national security advisor at the White House. He does not need Senate confirmation. Are you at all concerned about what you just heard in Elise Labat's report, that he was lax in supposedly dealing with classified information, for example, when he was in Afghanistan?
Wolf, he has given the explanation on those dealings and the information share that was carried out. And I have confidence in General Flynn. He is considered to be a brilliant mind. He has a clear understanding of cyber and cybersecurity needs. He has a clear understanding of what transpires in the virtual space. He knows who our enemies are. And I have the confidence that he is going to give President-elect Trump good advice. As the NSA, he is going to give consistent and good advice. People want to make certain that we're kept safe. And I've got to tell you, I really appreciate that Mr. Trump has gone about looking at these national security positions first, because those were at the top of the heap, if you will, in concerns of the people as they looked at this election cycle. And what I'm picking up from my email and communications with my constituents, and we have a major military post in my district, people are really quite pleased with the announcements that have been made today.
He did tweet that one tweet this year. Fear of Muslims, he said, is rational. There we put it on the screen. Fear of Muslims is rational. Please forward this to others. The truth fears no questions. Is fear of Muslims rational?
I'm not going to get into discussing any tweets that have been made or were made. I'm going to put that aside. I think when you look at the aggregate of General Flynn's experience and what he brings to the table, what he has faced as a man in uniform, how he was willing to always defend this country, and the brilliant mind that he brings to the table, I think that that serves him well as he enters a position to advise the president on our threats and known threats, developing threats, looking at terrorism, how it is spreading, how it has metastasized, finding these terrorist cells. He's going to be a stalwart member of that national security team.
I think, Congresswoman, you agree that you can't lump in all Muslims. There are Muslim extremists, there are Muslim terrorists, but you can't say fear of Muslims in general that is rational. Because most Muslims are decent, hardworking, wonderful people.
You are correct on that, and we all know that generalizations have a tendency to get individuals into trouble. And I will leave it at that.
Let's talk about another issue that's come up, his connections with Russia. He made frequent appearances on Russian state media, the propaganda arm of Putin, RT. He was photographed, as you know, sitting next to President Putin at one of their big galas exactly a year ago. He was paid to make a speech there. Is that a problem, you think?
He has disclosed that. It was something that was done through a business arrangement, and that is not something that causes me a tremendous amount of concern because of the disclosure that was made there. Now, I have not seen a transcript of the speech. I have not had the opportunity to read and review that, but I appreciate the fact that that was disclosed and that he brought it forward early. I am certain that Mr. Trump and those that are doing the vetting close to him have reviewed all of that information and do not see that as something that is problematic.
All right, Congresswoman, we have more questions, other issues coming up. I want to give you a chance to respond to all of them. Let's take a quick break, resume this conversation in a quick moment. Thank you.
Sure.
We're back with Republican Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. You know Congressman Mike Pompeo, but you just heard what he said after that Boston terror bombing, suggesting that Islamic faith leaders could be complicit in those attacks. Do you agree with him on that?
Well, if I don't know the context within which that whole statement fits, but I do know this. There are so many leaders in our country from both sides of the aisle that called on moderate Muslims to move forward and to help us as we sought to root out those who were couching themselves inside mosque, or maybe who were some way affiliated that were seeking in some way to do harm. And the moderate Muslims could be very helpful in that regard. You have Muslim friends. I have Muslim friends. We know that there are many in this country who do feel like that we need to work together to find a way that they're going to be productive and helpful so that the extremists are not able to establish terrorist cells and harm our communities, our cities, our schools, and our citizens.
Let's switch to the other breaking story that's happening this hour. Donald Trump agreeing to pay $25 million to settle 3 lawsuits against Trump University. As you know, during the campaign, he often said he never settles. Why do you think he did it this time?
In my opinion, and I have not talked to Mr. Trump or any of his advisors today about this issue, but my thinking would be that this is a point where he is needing to divest himself of some of the responsibilities and the loose ends, if you will. You know, when you begin to make a transition in life, whether it is an exit from a business or if you are retiring or you're moving to a new career field, you go through a period of time where you kind of clear the desk and you prepare to make that exit and that transition. And my thought would be this was a way just to get that item, unfinished business, if you will, off the desk. And I would imagine that as he extracts himself from his businesses and moves to reshaping his life and making that move down to D.C., that you're going to see him go through a series of transactions that will curtail or end or wind up different business agreements or affiliations and allow him to move with a clean slate and ready to put his total and complete focus on his goal, which is to make America great again, safe again, and one again.
I just want to read the statement we just got from Alan Garten, the Executive Vice President and the General Counsel of the Trump Organization, on this settlement of the Trump University lawsuits. We are pleased to announce the complete resolution of all litigation involving Trump University. While we have no doubt that Trump University would have prevailed at trial based on the merits of this case, resolution of these matters allows President-elect Trump to devote his full attention to the important issues facing our great nation. That statement from the Trump Organization. All right, Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us.
Good to be with you, Wolf. Thank you.
Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee.